What's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm good.
Awesome. I think that's pretty much working. I can hear you and shit, and I can see myself.
Yeah, that seems to be all right. I'm just looking at the levels. That's interesting now. There's the green bars across the two different things in the bottom. So if you
Mm.
speak,
Hello, Mike. How you doing?
if I speak, so hi,
Oh, oh yeah. My levels are on the bottom, and yours are near your name.
well on mine, they're both in the right hand corner.
Fancy.
Yeah,
Yeah, mine are
cool.
the bottom. Just says we're live. So yeah, pretty good. So last week I went canal boating, man, and it was like a week after that festival. So it was like I had about 4 or 5 days to recover, which wasn't really long enough in hindsight. And then when we were there, we had some like ridiculous weather where it was like I think it was 32 degrees in a place called Weybridge on one of the days we went. All night as well. It stayed in the 30s. It's like 30, 31 degrees. So it was just awful,
Wow.
just sweating and shit. It was horrible. And of course, it was a really little bed. So really not helpful when you're both fucking sweating and shit. But yeah, a few really cool things happened, and a few really like kind of annoying ones when we were there. Like overall, the boat's a fucking pleasure to uh, pilot or to drive. I don't know what you to captain. I don't know what the word would be.
Yeah, to man.
Yeah, I was the fucking, I was the boy. I was the top dog, right? And like Charlotte's, fucking hell, man. What about the names? Probably shouldn't.
um, names. Names is probably okay. First names, if it's a conversation that's separate to the drugs. Now it's the same conversation.
Okay, try to avoid the names. All right, cool. So yeah, my father-in-law is a fucking is a whiz with the boat, basically. So the idea is, have you've been canal boating before?
No, well, when I was like
No.
I don't know, like 8 or something. I can remember going to Norfolk Broads, but yeah, not for a long time. Whereabouts is this place that you went?
Right.
Weymouth?
No, so we started off. It's near Guildford where we went, where my father-in-law is about sort of thing. There's sort of like moored there.
Sorry, I was just testing out the live stream on YouTube, and
You working?
it's about 10 seconds or so behind, but it is working. We're currently live on YouTube right now.
Oh, awesome.
Click on it and watch it. But yeah, I just
Cool.
wanted to test it out. So, and then it started me speaking. I didn't realize that was going to be as disruptive as it was.
Oh
But
look, oh, I've got one viewer. Is that you?
uh,
Zero viewers. You've
yeah,
gone. No, so we started off. Yeah, that was me, wasn't it? That's cool, man. Yeah, I've got zero viewers now.
yeah, I've gone off.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a whiz with a boat. Anyway, where I was going with that. Yeah. So the fucking the, right, so the canals in the UK and in England in particular, there's some in Wales that we went to once before. They were like an infrastructure of transport. The barges and they're called narrow boats, I think, back in the day, and they were pulled by horses along the side. These like towpaths basically across most of the canals. Where some of the canals and the locks in particular were from the 1600s. So I don't know the exact times that I've just sort of learned from the age of some of the locks and stuff. That a lot of them from the 1600s, and it was the transport infrastructure before the railway and then before the roads, basically. And they're a fucking technological wonder, basically. All the canals and the locks. If you know what a lock is, you go into this little chamber from the canal, and then you close both the doors, and it'll either raise or lower the level of the water to level all the canals out. And they're just fucking crazy. And like you know, winch the boat into one side with ropes that attach around little masts that are on in the side of the ground, and then you shut these big gates, and the gates are fucking huge, and they weigh a ton, and you pull them through the water yourself and close the locks, and then there's a little winch, and you pull this little winch, which inside the door of the thing itself, it pulls up a little like a slot where the water rushes through, or on the opposite side, if it's the shallow side, it'll open them up and fill it with water from the other side. So where depending on which direction you're going through the lock, if you need to go up or down the water level, you either raise or lower the lock sort of thing. And they're like 400 years old, whatever it is, and they're a wonder of technology. And yeah, it was basically the transport infrastructure for the UK before pretty much before the rail and before all of that, it was how people got stuff around and they carried stuff along the barges and narrowboats. So a lot of it's really scenic and like really fun to look around, and some of it's like in beautiful countryside, and there's a lot of, like, we saw a lot of wildlife and stuff like that. But essentially, it's just it's shallow, and it gets like where we'd gone, at least it had gone from really bloody deep, like 20 feet deep sort of thing, to like a few feet deep where you could see the bottom, but the boat only sits a few feet into the water, so it's right. But altogether, yeah, it was just like super relaxing on a 40-foot narrowboat with like, it's like a 10-liter diesel engine that makes, when you start the engine up, it goes like, like that, and it's like a really awesome noise. And then it goes like 3 miles an hour in the water. Like you can like walk about the same speed as, you know, across on the towpaths and that. So it's really relaxing because we did in about 4 days, we went like 20 miles or something. Like you can literally do the car journey in about half an hour in the car.
Yeah.
But we just did it over in like, it's like 4.5 days that we took to go around these places, and like it's just so fucking fun driving it around. You get a tiller on the back and you've got an accelerator, so it's faster, slow, which is like neutral, which just doesn't accelerate anymore, but you've got momentum, and then reverse, and then the tiller goes left to right. And if you turn the tiller to all the way to anti-clockwise, or all the way to your left if you're facing forwards away from it, it turns the front of the boat right and the arse of the boat left. Do you know what I mean? So the boat's like that in the water, and if you turn the tiller like this way, the boat goes like that. It's like the arse comes out and the face goes forward, sort of thing. So the way you do it is, if the canal's going around in a circle, you drift the boat. You know what I mean? Like gradually you keep the tiller just a bit left, and then you drift the arse in the front of the boat like all the way around the corner, so you don't touch the sill at the sides. And it's just super fucking pleasing when you get it right. Like when you do it properly, it's so pleasing, because it just like, there's this bit where instead of messing around with the tiller's like that, I turned it just a bit, and the boat just perfectly went. I mean, just like went all the way around. So yeah, super pleasing, really entertaining that. And I didn't realize how important they were in terms of, like, you know, the economy and industry and shit like that. The amount of times that people had used the canalways to transport goods around and for commerce and stuff like that. That was like that was the massive infrastructure in England about 400 years ago. Like I said, before the rail. So yeah, that was it. It was fucking awesome.
How much was it, and who do you pay, and how's all the admin of it?
Well, my father-in-law owns the boat, so it didn't cost us anything, which is fucking awesome. And he let us stop on it for like a week without just give it us for free, sort of thing. And then he gave us some spending money, which is really cool. But I didn't need to do that, obviously. It was a really cool thing of him. So we stopped. There's limited cooking abilities on the boat, obviously. There's like a gas stove and a little bit of an oven. So in the morning you can have like a fry up, or you can have toast or whatever. But pretty much we just ate out like in pubs and stuff. So he gave us a load of money, which was nice as well. But the day hire boats, you can get sort of like 6 to 8 people on them, and then you can just sort of drive them around for a day for a couple of £100. It's like £200 or £300, depending on the size of the boat and how many people go on it. And then some of them are like horse-drawn tours. Like we went to a place called Godalming Wharf near Guildford.
That's not a real place.
Godalming, yeah. Prove it exists, sure.
Yeah. I'm only a Google away from proving it exists, but still not having it.
Go for it. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. It's like horse-drawn tours where people can, like, you get in a boat and a fucking Shire horse, like a big one, a great big horse, like drags you across. But yeah, super fun. So like, I think it's about £300, say, for a big boat, like an 8-man boat for a day, and then in a day you can go 10 miles or something. You know, just go up and down, and it's super relaxing. Or there's some guided tours and shit where people know the stuff to look out for, and there's like stuff along the sides of the river, certain bits of nature and shit like that. So really good. But overall, we saw on the way back on the last day, there was a guy and his son who were on bikes. And they were like sort of sailing, you know, going quite fast, really. I mean, not terribly fast, but going across the towpath. And there was a woman with 3 big fluffy dogs, like they were like Malamutes or something, you know, like huskies,
right?
Like quite big dogs, really. And one of the dogs just bolted and hit the kid's bike, knocked the kid into this like ravine that was down the side of the towpath that was full of nettles. And then the father stopped. The woman and didn't say anything really, but I think she exaggerated. Obviously, probably apologized, but then just sort of like hurriedly walked off with like eyes down, wasn't looking at anybody, sort of thing. And then like the kid, the guy obviously ragged the kid out of this ravine, like with his little helmet on. Like, he looked kind of sweet, you know, like he was 5 or 6 years old, and he was stood like bawling, like, just like completely in it, just completely crying. And yeah, this woman walked off. And we found that quite a few times there was situations where like people were just kind of rude to you, basically, or thought they knew best. Shit like that. It's fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
And, like people that live on the boat, who like they know how to do the locks and everything, and then they assume that you're some sort of dickhead because you don't know how to do them.
Oh, there's like a class kind of judgmental sort of thing, like, oh, we're different to you because we do this all the time. You must be a bunch of pissheads that are doing this for a laugh. You know, we hate you. You're not one of us.
Yeah, that's it. I'm some sort of peasant because I don't know how to do the locks like proper efficient. Like there was this bit where, well, it was basically on the last day. There was this guy who was we were moored up on the side and we were just like having some breakfast and that, and he was just behind us, and we just, you know, managed to set off at the same sort of time as him. And then you can get two boats in the lock at the same time. Sometimes it helps. And there's this bit where do you know what a weir is?
Is that the thing where they go down, like no, like
sort of, yeah? It's like an go on, sorry.
I don't know. I was going to guess some sort of man-made waterfall-y type dealio.
Yeah, not far off. Not far off.
The how quick the stream is flowing to slow it down, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, not far off, mate. Not far off. Well, there's bits where it's like an overflow, and if the level of the water gets over a certain point, they manage it by putting in a weir. I believe, anyway. I could be talking out my fucking arsehole, I don't know. But they put in a weir which sucks a load of water off the edge, and it's like, you know, if you've got a really full glass of water and you stick your finger in, it overflows, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like the displacement from the boats and from a million different things, apparently just kind of random, and it's a lot to do with the weather and the rainfall and the amount of boats in the water and everything. So to keep the water level and moving in a certain direction, they put these weirs in. But some of them drag the boat in. So there was this one, for example, before we were driving into a lock, and I was being pushed from, like, I was going like there, and I was being pushed from this side by an outlet flow of a weir that was coming from the top of the lock, and we were at the lower water level. And there was this guy stood at the lock who was going, "Turn it right." He was going, "Turn the tiller right," like that. And he was like I couldn't understand him. Like I wasn't doing it. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think I've got accelerate and turn. I can't do much more than fully turn and fully accelerate. Like
I've not exhausted all of my options.
Nothing else whatsoever is within my purview of control at all. And I'm doing everything I possibly can. I'm not even exaggerating. Everything possible right now to push the boat forward and move the boat this direction. And he made this like ridiculous assumption that it was just me being a knob, or me not understanding, or me not listening to him, or me not being able to hear him correctly. Oh, and he's fucking wound me up, and I'm like getting right angry. And then he rushed down from the side, and there's a fisherman. And next to the lock, there's a sign, and it says "No fishing within 50 meters." And there was a fisherman behind one of these. I forget what you call them, like these little
48 meters away from the sign.
Well, yeah, basically, there's like a post that you moor the ropes around.
Yeah,
that's what they're called, man. They've probably got a name. Anyway, this guy was sat. It was like there was the last post, and he was like directly next to it. And the guy come up to him, and he went, "This rude guy." The guy had been rude to me and my missus and that. And he went, "Are you English?" And the guy was like a Londoner because it's like down south. And he went, "Yeah, what's up?" And he went, but because there's that sign there, and it says you're not allowed to fish within 50 meters of this. And he went, he stood up and he went, "You see this fucking post here? That marks 50 meters, you fucking dick." And he's like, they start going backwards and forwards.
Wow.
And this guy got, like, the fisherman got proper angry. and he was going like, I've been doing this 5 fucking years. I can't do this southern accent. He goes, you've been doing this 5 fucking years, you prick. In this 5 years, nobody has ever said anything to me. This is 50 meters. I know the rules, and all this sort of stuff. And this guy ended up, and he went, well, I'll just report you to the National Trust, shall I? And he went, well, how about I fucking bang you out, you prick? Like, how about I drop you right now, you dickhead? And he went, yeah, well, you'll definitely get in trouble there, won't you? And he just sort of walked off. And anyway, we ended up doing 2 or 3 locks with these people.
Why was he going to report him to the National Trust when he was abiding by the rules?
I think he just needed something to say, man. I think he was getting absolutely owned by this like London guy who was probably going to punch him. He probably realised and was like, oh shit, I need something to say. I need to try and like claw back some of my dignity right now.
By pissing him off further, it didn't sound like he had a good handle on the situation.
No, absolute prick. So yeah, he started shouting at me. So I was in the boat, full power forward, full turn on the left, trying to turn the front of the boat right to get into this lock. And I had this guy going like, turn the tiller right. Like that. I'm like, I'm doing that, you knob.
Yeah.
But that's what it's like. And it, like the experience itself in Canal and the holiday, all lovely. It's beautiful, British countryside. It's like at its best. We had some beautiful weather, dogs and all that. It was really, really cool. And then it's the other people around that make it really stressful. There's a lot of people that live on the boats or like they're fucking pros. And probably by chance and not by fate or anything like that, we'd come across mostly people that were like absolute pros. None of which were like the day boaters or the people just on holidays like we were. It was all people that fucking knew what they were doing and wanted to get it done as fast and as efficient as possible. Not necessarily to save time or to do anything else. Just basically just to show you up, just to show you that they knew how to do it.
Makes them feel better. Like it's like they've now put the time and effort in enough for them to reach a certain level of skill or dominance or whatever, a mental acuity above you. So you floating on by is the perfect opportunity for them to rub their ego. It's like, oh, here comes another one. This is what we've been waiting for. This is why we trained, you know. This is what we play for. But yeah, so they probably love that shit.
But I think it's when else would you get to use that? Like, I'm really awesome at drifting a canal boat.
You go to bother the water cooler and you're like, yeah, I've been canal boating. And unless you really force the issue, you can be like, I'm really good at it. You know, like, that's not really going to come up. Like, right, yeah, did you have a nice weekend? Yeah, I was canal boating. It's like, are you going to ask me how many years experience I've got? It's not really going to come up, is it?
Did you see me on that sharp 90-turn bend near the town lock in Weybridge?
Yeah.
I bossed it. I could not have done that again.
I was like this.
Yeah. In the back of the boat, fucking with my gangster rap blaring off the fucking radio.
Yeah, they call me Level-Head Bobby.
Canal Boat Thug Life. That's my new YouTube channel.
Yeah. No lock that no lock that I can't pick.
That's it. Fucking hell. So yeah, that's it. It's super fun, man. Like in terms of just drifting the boat around the corners and shit, it was fucking awesome. And yeah, one time I did this turn. It's called Addleston, I think, near Weybridge, and there's this bit where it was there's a turning point in the road after the lock. And I sailed past it by accident, but I realised that there was nowhere else to turn before the River Thames. And obviously, I think you're allowed past the Thames lock, but not onto the Thames itself. So you can get onto a small stretch of the Thames, but there's like really big boats on it and shit. There's like a load of stuff that it's quite scary, really. It's a huge river, and there's a little island that you can sail around and come back. But obviously, you're in a 40-foot narrowboat going 3 miles an hour, and it's like it's just not pleasant, really. Basically, we didn't do it, so I had to turn around, and man, I couldn't have done it again. If I'd have tried 100 times, I couldn't have done it as well as I managed to do it.
Right.
Where in reverse, you don't have much control over the steering, but it's the same as a car. Like if you turn it left, the back of the car will turn left, sort of thing. It's like the same forward and backwards. You can control the tiller a little bit. So I got down this stretch, got a load of speed coming up, and then I like shunted the arse a bit, and then full power the other way. And the boat just perfectly turned all the way around, like a perfect 360, almost on the spot, where all the physics was cancelling itself out, so the front moved forward, the back moved back, and I just managed to like. I couldn't have done it again. Even if I could have done it 100 times, and there's no way I could have done it just as perfect as that. I was on the back, like, yeah, fucking, like Charlotte clapped me and shit. It was like, yes. It was so good, man. But I just like span it round perfectly in the water and we set off the other way. Oh, it's one of them where, I wish I had a catchphrase or something. I wish I had something to say.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you hold on, baby? Or something like that. And then zoomed away at 4 miles an hour.
Boom.
Full
baby.
power.
That's that chapter.
I'm going to sail in your canal.
Yeah.
So creepy and sexual immediately, but you know what I'm saying. So that was pretty much it. And then well, there's a few cool things happened, man. It was just really relaxing. It's just to be on the back of the boat, stood up with a tiller in hand sort of thing, and then you're cruising along really slow, and it's beautiful weather, and it's really quiet and shit like that. But obviously you're on a boat, and really enjoyable. And then near it's called the Anchor Pub in a place called Perford Marina, where the boat lives basically when we're not on it. There was Japanese tourists in the lock, and there was like 5 of them. One of them was obviously like a ringleader, was like could speak English, and then there was 3 girls and 2 men, and the one other man had like rudimentary English, and like he was like, oh, hello, that sort of thing, not in an offensive way. There's no hate in my heart right now, but he had rudimentary English, and then this one, I think he was a tour guide basically, and then
rudimentary English. No.
Racist.
Rudimentary. Oh, come on. Rudimentary English can be very funny though. I don't know what it is. Something about it. It's someone trying to do something and then failing. I think that's what it is. Like it's
someone fucking it up.
Yeah.
Or fucking it up in funny, like comical language ways. But no, they were all right, man. They're right. They could speak better English than I could speak Japanese. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I'd make a complete cunt of myself in Japanese. So anyway, they asked to do a short boat ride, and they were taking pictures of the lock, and they were taking pictures of the boat sinking in the lock, and taking pictures of me basically on the back of the boat. And they asked to do a short boat ride, so they wanted to come and stand on the back of the boat, like 5 little Japanese people on the back of the boat. So Charlotte came and asked me and was like, "Oh, can I put them on the back of the boat?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Like just to. It's going to be a 10-minute ride sort of thing, and it was fine. And I'm fairly confident. I'm not the best, but I'm fairly confident with the boat. And we took them around the corner, and they got on with the ropes and everything. And they were literally on the back, like trying to talk to me, but couldn't say much. They asked me like how much would the boat cost, and things like that. But like I'm not going to, because it's probably a bit like insensitive of me, but in a really funny, like stereotypical Japanese accent, like, how much do the boat cost? All this sort of thing. It was like really kind of offensive for me to repeat it like that. But it's fucking awesome. And they were quite cool. They were just asking me about it. And then like I turned the corner once and I did the corner really well. And they were like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
You bring great honor on your family name.
Family. Yeah. So that, we took them around the corner. It was just literally 2 minutes and they were fine. And they took a load of pictures. So I'm very tall, obviously. And I believe tattoos are a real taboo in Japan as well. You're not allowed to have public tattoos at all.
Is it associated with gangs and stuff like that?
Yeah, like Yakuza and organised crime, basically.
People that drift around corners really well in cars.
What?
Well, people that drift around corners really well in cars, like in Tokyo and other places like that, I'm sure, but mainly Tokyo.
Right. And that's got what connotations with tattoos?
Drifting. Tokyo drifting, it's big time gang culture.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, it makes sense. I'm not too sure. I just know that in public swimming pools and shit like that, you're not allowed to have visible tattoos, and there's like in public baths and stuff.
Weird.
And there's a load of different situations where it's not social. It's obviously a massive taboo, or again, got like cultural connotations, or whatever. But you're really not allowed to have tattoos on show. You're allowed to have them, obviously, I think. Or that might be taboo as well, considered taboo. But obviously not allowed to have them shown. So I've got a shitload of them. Obviously, I got a full sleeve, and like one of my legs is got a good big one on it. And they were just, I don't know, it was just a bit weird because they didn't know what to say.
How did you know they were making references towards them? Was it clear?
What do you mean? Like what references to what?
Like, how were you aware? What signals were you getting? What were making you aware that there was a situation with the tattoos, or was that all in your own mind? Like what?
Yeah, probably all just in my own head, to be completely honest, because I knew that's what it was. I don't know. They obviously didn't directly say anything. One guy put his arm up next to mine and was, but he was tensing his muscles. So originally I thought he was looking at my tattoos, but it wasn't. He was just tensing his arm up, I think, because some of the ropes you need to be quite strong to like pull the boat in, and I'm pretty strong basically. But it's like when you're pulling the thing, you can pull the entire boat. So I suppose I was showing off a little bit, pulling it really easily or something.
Yeah.
Or doing like a false modesty thing where I was only pulling the rope with one hand, all that sort of stuff, all that fucking ego stroking shit. But that's what it did. So we sort of like, we had a little laugh where I tensed my arms up and said, like, you need to be strong for the boat and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Give him a little show, give him a little taste of it. But just really interested. And they were like really, really happy. And then round the corner, they were they got off and everything. The guy tried to give me money. Super polite and everything like that. They were like really just really quite nice, but they were just enjoying themselves. And we took a load of pictures. So somewhere on the Japanese internet or whatever,
I presume the J-Web, I think.
Right, because in China they don't have Twitter, but there's a different website called Weibo, which is exactly the same. Because all the Western internet got like blocked or something. I think something like that. They got blocked there.
On Facebook.
So they got their equivalents. I think it's called Weibo, and Weibo is like exactly the same as Twitter. It's laid out exactly the same, and it's like 130 character limit status updates, basically exactly the same, or like one photo. So somewhere on the fucking Japanese internet, there's pictures of me and my girlfriend stood on the back of like her dad's boat, going like this and shit, like with these tiny, really, really little Japanese people, like arms round them and shit, like stuff like that. Imagine loads and loads of them.
Can you imagine the task on you trying to track those photos down? Like the scale of that, like,
it's kind of creepy, man. I don't want you to infer anything from it, but you do it through geotagging, wouldn't you? If you take someone's image off the internet and you put it through a certain viewer, depending on what they did it with digital cameras, so it'll all be geotagged to like.
That's not a bit though. Yeah. I envisage this just for this one or two photos, this huge 2 or 3 works worth of, like light under the fucking like interrogation room, like you've got a team of people trying to figure out where they are and all of that kind of stuff.
I'm smoking in the dark and shit.
Yeah.
All that. But no, it wouldn't. I don't think it'd take that long, really. I don't know. But oh man, it was just funny. It was just weird, because like it took about 20 minutes in total. So I was having like a normal day or whatever, just doing the locks, and then just like there's just Japanese people for a bit, and then they went. Then it's like right. Also, it was just
afternoon.
As you do, just showing some Japanese people around.
That's nice though, man. That sounds like one of those cool little mementos onto a nice day anyway, that it makes it that more memorable.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm not going to forget it. It was just, I kept worrying that it wasn't like a long enough ride or something, like it was only it was like 5 minutes, and that they might have wanted to go further or something like that. But
well, you'd already got into the mindset of the tour operator, like just immediately taking that roll on.
Yeah. Show them the sights and that, take them for a pint.
Yeah. Like
try and make friends with these people. Like, how desperate am I?
Going around the country. It's like Frank on It's Always Sunny, where he's on the Paddy steamboat or whatever, or the Philly boat, and he just hijacks that boat and starts showing them around and giving them all fake facts. Like, there's 80% of all murders that have ever been done in Philadelphia are still unresolved, and the bodies are rumored to be in this river or something like that. And they're all like, "Oh,
yeah." Yeah, they're trying to translate something for him, aren't they? And he's like, I forget what it was, but it was something horrific. And the translator's like, he says he sleeps with many hookers.
Yeah. He's a dirty beast or something like that.
Yeah. Something hilarious. On that boat. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else that really happened.
How long did you go? 4 days? 5 days?
Sunday to Thursday, so like 4 nights, 5 days. But yeah, it was cool. It was like, it's really relaxing just to sail through on the back of the boat, driving it and like, you know, doing the turns and the locks and stuff. Really, really relaxing. But yeah, a few times like this silt you can get stuck in, and other boats, and I hit a wall one time, shit like that. Like
mentally in the real world.
yeah, yeah. I hit a wall of stone, a literal wall.
Yeah, still
yeah, mentally. No, but it was like a proper wall because obviously it's all in slow motion. It seems to happen to you in slow motion because the boat moves so slowly, obviously. And we were going around the corner, and I'd just done it badly. And the front of the boat, it sort of lost steering because of this silt. So it was my fault for coming in at the wrong side or whatever. And I lost like it's partial of the right turn. So instead of turning into the corner, I just went straight ahead. And because the boat weighs tons, and it's like going, you know, it's got a lot of momentum going forward, even though it's not very fast. I couldn't put reverse on quick enough. And all of a sudden, my little dog was trying to jump over these little back doors, trying to get out. So I opened the door, booted the dog, shut the door, moved the tiller to one side, jumped over the tiller, moved the ropes out of the way. It was chaos.
Yeah.
I managed to get it all done, and then the boat, it was going like that, and it just slowed a bit with the reverse and the water going shit, and it still wouldn't stop it quick enough. And then I was stood, and I had like I'm not kidding, about 2 seconds where like the boat was just sailing into a wall, and there was nothing I could do.
Right.
So it was just watching this accident in slow motion where I was like, oh, bump come in, stuff like that, and I just couldn't do anything about it. And I had the full reverse on, the full lock on, and we were stuck in silt at one point. It was just, mate, it was in the front of the boat, just bashed into this wall, and like things fell off in the inside, like with some plates fell down, and it was awful. Couldn't do a thing about it, and I'm just watching it. Like, we're going to crack into this wall real bad.
I guess that's the difference between sort of when you're on the road, like on a bike or you know, in a car, and then when you're in water, like there's this additional force there, and generally you're not going to have unless you've maybe got like a jet ski or something, like a bit more acceleratory or something, whatever, like if that's a word, but like
it is now.
Yeah, generally with something like that, you have to do everything like preemptively, don't you? It's kind of weird. It's not reactively like maybe in a car. It's more like there's almost like a latency on the decision making or something.
Yeah, you're definitely limited in terms of like, not only in terms of speed, but like if you turn a car right, it turns right really quick. Whereas the boat, like you have to preempt things, and you're going so slowly that it's really easy. But like if you see a right turn coming up, if it goes, or like any sort of turn, if it's going around a tree or something, you can't tell how sharp the turn is until you're on it. So it's a lot about like trying to anticipate what you're going to do, getting the speed right as you're coming into, you know, there's all sorts of different things, just a different thing to learn. But then when we were driving back, we were in the car on the way back, and I was like, just turning off, like turning onto a road or something. I was just super impressed. I was like, oh, you've canal boated that corner really well. Because you cornered perfect, and the car's obviously perfect. It's fine. That's what it's designed to do and everything. But I was like, oh, you boated that corner fucking right. You drifted it around that corner just perfect. It wasn't anything like that. And then from standing on the boat for like 4 days, you get a sway, where the boat rocks left, like side to side, so you're constantly moving left and right. But then after a bit, your feet and your hips and everything learn how to like correct for a potential wave that might never come. But you can just you're sensing it with your feet, and with the balls of your feet, you sort of like you learn to just stay
like a dinosaur.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And so that's what we're doing. So when I got off the boat, my feet and my legs and my hips and everything, Charlotte said the same thing. But when you got out, you were waiting for a wave that never came. So you were just waving yourself, like you were just wobbling backwards and forwards, and like inside your head, you were feeling like the world was spinning around you and shit. And it was really interesting, man, because it made me think like there's a lot of different things that we're experiencing, like in terms of physical. Like we're speeding around the universe at like hundreds of thousands of miles an hour right now, and our planet's going around the sun, but the sun's going around the galactic plane the galaxy's moving in relation to everything else. I mean, like, there's a load of different physical forces that are on you right now that you get used to so fast that if they were to stop, you wouldn't know you knew. I mean, it wouldn't like you wouldn't even know you didn't know what that felt like because your body corrects for it without you subconsciously, without you realizing. So
Honestly, just fall apart.
I don't know what you fucking do.
The scale of those sort of forces that are constantly upon you. Yeah, what the hell was that?
Well, I was looking the other day just why you don't feel G forces while you're in the air. You know, like when you're on the plane and you're going about 700 miles an hour, and if you sat on the plane, you don't feel that at all.
Yeah, you don't get pushed into the back of the seat.
No, it's nothing. And apparently, G force is only felt through like things like acceleration, where you're going from normal gravity, increased gravity, or higher G forces. It's you only notice that bit, the bit where it's changing for you relative to where you are, and then after a bit, you sort of get used to it, and the plane, because it's not accelerating anymore, it stays at the same speed. Gravity just does its thing, and it's like back to normal to you.
Weird.
But it creates its own mini specific gravity, mini relative gravity to the plane that you're sat on. And if the plane accelerated, you'd feel the G-force then, but otherwise it and to like almost normal. Which it's kind of strange. Like the physics, if you just Google that, like what why don't you feel G-force while on an airplane? There's an entire thing about it, and it's all like, but it was really interesting that some of the G-force is only relative to like your normal gravity situation, and actually it's only really the difference in G-force that you feel as G-force. Otherwise, your body's just completely just used to feeling one or like one G-force. I mean, or like normal atmospheric pressures, and then it sort of cancels them out. So you stop feeling them or you stop noticing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's the same in like you pull it all the way down to like a lift or something. You know, it's like an elevator. It's that same thing. I don't know. It's any motion where you're inside an atmosphere, like a separate sort of moving object.
Yeah, it creates its own one, doesn't it? I think a lot of things like the mind can just sort of ignore. You know, like you're wearing clothes right now, and I can't necessarily tell that I'm wearing them. That sort of thing. You know, like your body just sort of like shuts you off to the constant sensation of like cloth on your skin, sort of thing. I think there's a load of things like that, and I think it's one of those sort of universal truths that your mind sort of blinds you to certain stuff. It keeps certain things away from you just to make it efficient, so that like if you've got an attention numbers, you've got an attention span of 100. That it's not using 5 in the background, constantly telling you conscious mind that I can feel the clothes on my chest. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's to get used to those things, to then realize that they're safe and normal and they happen all the time. You've never paid attention to any of those stimuli. It's never going to really affect you in any meaningful way. It doesn't lead on to anything else or the rest of it. And then it just sort of like blinds you off to them so that you can sort of you can move on with your life and you can like be more efficient in the other areas.
Well, I guess it's like it enables you to be alert to changes in your environment, like smell, for example. You don't really smell smells, apparently, do you? You smell changes in smell, which is why when you walk into a room and it smells beautiful, like the candle that you've had on or whatever, and you get a big waft of it, after being in that room for 5 minutes, that's now 0. That's like 1G now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's the same with sound. Like, so when I'm asleep, if there's a constant humming or buzzing, like from a desk fan next to my bed or something like that, that's kind of relaxing because it's constant. I've got 1G all the time. That's the dominant thing. But then as soon as it stops or an additional noise packs, you know, like there's an alarm outside or something like that, that's when I would wake up. Whereas even though there is a sound, even if it's loud, if it's a constant sound, then that's all right. And so it probably works for all the senses in that way.
Yeah, man. I think it's interesting because a lot of them, like those sort of principles and that, they probably carry over to your mind as well. That you're in a certain situation and you're with certain people, you feel comfortable with them because you're used to them, used to what they're doing, used to the way they sort of speak and stuff like that. And you sort of like, I don't know, it's like getting rid of all the mystery in it and shit, I guess. Like you're not concentrating on, you know what I mean? It just cancels itself out. And I think in terms of your like self-image as well, it can be a similar sort of thing where your mind can sort of blind you to like your habits and the sort of habitual thought patterns.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
That you have. And in that way, they sort of become subconscious, don't they? Where like you just stop. Like I don't look around my office right now and I'm like looking at various things because I've zoned them all out because I've seen them a million times.
Well, that's become 1G now, hasn't it? Like,
yeah, that's become normal.
Yeah, because it's not changed. If it one day, yesterday it was your office was empty, and then today there was.
Yeah, you notice it. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it is just. That's crazy when I've never really thought about that. It comes across such a wide spectrum of different things, like everything, I guess.
Mm. But what is that though? That's the human mind, isn't it? Surely is it what to make you more efficient or something?
Must be, yeah, like an evolutionary. There must be some evolutionary advantage to that.
Being able to switch stuff off. I think so. I think it will be something like that. It'll be something like you've walked through a forest 1,000 times or something. You've never been attacked by an animal or something. So you're like, right, well, this bit is like okay, this is safe, this is normal, and then like you sort of zone it out because it's not going to do anything to you. Maybe something like that to like not protect you from danger, but like to
like if you're the
safety
if you're the one in your group that has that trait where all the background birds, all the background waterfall noise, all the background wind, if that just zones out, but you're the one who then hears something step on a twig real near because that's change, that's not constant, that's a threat to your survival. And therefore maybe the ones who didn't hear that could have got eaten or damaged or killed or whatever, whereas the ones who did hear that then went on to survive because they noticed it. Maybe there's something along those lines, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? Like natural selection and shit. If you didn't notice changes in this environment or whatever, didn't notice something coming around, it could have meant, poisonous plants or fucking animals had moved in or started nesting and shit, or like, insects had come along.
Yeah, like we eat these leaves every day and we have done for years, and we don't really notice anything significant about them because they've tasted the same and we're still alive. Yet now, all of a sudden, I'm alerted to them. This is very different tasting, which could potentially, again, be a threat, something that kills you. Something could be wrong with them, or they could be off, they could be poisonous. So you can probably apply that to all the senses for that very reason. And therefore, like, if all the senses follow that pattern, then the mind's only going to do it as well.
Is that the relationship though, that like some elements of like survival and the way that the people survive is sort of like it informs the way the mind works, or is it the other way around?
Oh, well, like, probably a harmony between the two things, isn't it?
Yeah, well, probably right. But in terms of like your personality and shit, that's a similar sort of thing. Like some of your habits, because you keep doing them every day. Like you get up. Like I've been doing this thing just lately where the first thing I do every day is like the highest of all my priorities, basically.
Yeah.
Like there's like 20 different things in my life, and it's I've spent hours and hours like doing it once. I've got a journal, like a food diary sort of thing, where it was like all different areas of my life, and it was like work, relationship, but all that sort of stuff, like all the various things you've got to do in a day, all the personal things, like brushing. They all fell into like broad categories, basically, where it was like personal hygiene or whatever it was, brushing your teeth, and I don't know, going to the post office was right up there, and it fell into like my work tasks, and texting people fell into like relationships, and cooking a healthy dinner fell into like diet and shit like that. So I found out that I had like 20 different broad categories of various shit that I basically just needed to do every day, or not every day, but different things at different times. And then I did this thing where I've got every element of my, for example, at work, I put down 10 things that I need to do that day, and some of them were tiny, like clean the airbrush, shit like that. It was like 5-minute jobs, and then I prioritized each one for each category with the top three ones that needed doing. So the other day it was like I need to go to the post office, and that desperately needs doing like right away because that person needs it for the day after. Or one of them was to finish this order because the guy had been waiting a couple of weeks or something, and he like desperately needed it, and it's stuff like that. And then needed to do, it was like daily, weekly, month, whatever, and the ones I needed to do that day, and I put like how long that's going to take me next to it in the book, and it's stuff like that. Post office 25 minutes because it takes 10 minutes to walk there and back, that sort of thing. And then I found out that like everything that I worry about, I need to do in my life, like that was it. Like everything I possibly needed to do, the most important things in every area of my life, you can finish off in the first few hours in the morning, and then you can do whatever the fuck you want for the rest of the day, like almost guilt free for everything. In that first hour, I have a fruit and veg smoothie, I might do some exercise or something like that, get the water and vitamins in, go to the post office, finish off whatever job's the most important, ring, text, call people, emails, everything important at the top of every list of every area of every broad category of my life. And then by about 10 a.m., it's like, well, I've done fucking everything I possibly ever needed to know, everything ever needed to do, sorry, all the important shit. Everything else is just like an optional task now. Everything's fucking done, and that's it. And then you just realize how ridiculous, for me anyway, how ridiculous a lot of the things that I wasn't doing, at least, or some of the stuff that I should be doing that I'm not. Just how fucking ridiculous it is in terms of the weight of like, oh, I didn't brush my teeth this morning, and then that's on your mind, and that is like a weight. You know what I mean? It holds you back a little bit, or it sort of it fucking weighs you down a little bit because you're thinking about it. And like out of that 100 attention span you've got, 0.5 is thinking about you needed to brush your teeth, or that's an example, you know, but whatever it was, or like I need to walk to the post office, and that's a constant niggling fucking thing in the back of your mind that you need to do that immediately. And if you get all that shit done first, all the important stuff in every area of your life for that day, because like the post office opens at 9, so I can't do that at 7 a.m. sort of thing. And there's some things fell into like logical orders, and you know, that's a perfect example, really, because obviously you physically can't fucking go to the post office before it's open. But most of the really important ones, man, 10 a.m. and I'm done, and that's it. And the rest of the day, it's like, right, well,
yeah,
it's my time now, baby. Do what I want.
yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy, man. All the different areas of my life, every single area, top 3 tasks in priority, and then put a time next to them, and then that's it. Like, that's taking 5 minutes, but it's on my mind all day. Why aren't I sorting that out right now? You know, why aren't I doing that? Why am I letting that stay on my mind? And then you realize that all the problems you've ever had, all the problems you've got, all the things you think about, just fucking pointless, and you can get them finished off, and that's it within like no time. It's that's a game changer for me, man. That fucking journal, doing all that sort of shit.
Yeah, big time. It totally, like you say, it frees up that mental capacity. Well, not just mentally, so it's not in terms of like now I can do, you know, more intricate mental arithmetic.
Yeah.
But even like emotional, you know, any of that, just that kind of stress is, so weight is lifted just because of silly little things that are built up. And then it's not just that thing. So, you know, you use the example of saying, I'm going to the post office, but that's like a daily task. So say something, it's not necessarily a daily task. It might be, I need to unpack this box of things that we've received or whatever. It's just a one-time thing I need to do. So if I put that in my list of things to do for a day and I don't do it, I'll be thinking about that later, not consciously, but it'll be in my mind somewhere. So that could be taken up, like you say, 0.05% of all your different series of, you know, mental, attention spans, emotional, whatever. Then if you don't do that for another day, maybe now it takes up 2%. And then the next day it takes up 4%.
Yeah.
And there's that weird cumulative effect over time, and it gets worse because then further stress starts to add, because not only has there been an additional length of time that you've not done something, but you've probably now also maybe forgotten how to do it, or forgotten how to do it well, you know, because more time has passed. You're not in that zone that you were when you initially set yourself to do the task. So you're probably now at a disadvantage to do it as well or efficiently or whatever it is as when you first decided. So not only then it's all like almost like you know, some little bonus 1.5 times multiplier on the stress, like, because you're not going to be as good at doing it now as well. So yeah, getting everything done, just that kind of just fucking get on with it and get it done attitude.
Yeah,
you are aware of the consequences now of not doing it. So it's like knowledge is wasted unless it's applied. Like, there's no point in you knowing about how meditation is good for you and how diet is good for you and how exercise is good for you. Like, and you'll then have a little ego rub because you're aware of all these things, being very modern and progressive, and you know how to feel good and happy and be a complete. Hello.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, my computer died. Totally didn't keep an eye on the battery level, so I had to get that back up. Got it back up and running pretty quickly though. That's not too bad. So
Yeah.
you still remained in the same stream this entire time, and I've just joined
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, you have. You haven't got video there.
Okay, 1 second.
Right.
How about now?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, the idea of knowledge is wasted if it's not applied. Like, often I'll catch myself thinking that, when I overhear somebody talking about they've got this problem or they're not dealing with this problem, and I'll be there sat thinking, well, I know about meditation, that's really good for that, and I know about having this smoothie. I've got the blender, and I'll have kale and goji berries and
Yeah,
coconut
turmeric,
oil and all that.
ginger.
Yeah, all the roots, all that good shit in there every morning. And then my second thought after that is, when's the last time you've done that? Because I think it was probably
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, and you did get in a good routine with it, but now you're not doing it yet. You still maintain the personality and the ego of someone who is still doing it.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's total wasted. Like, if you sort of were ever to look down on somebody for them not being intelligent or balanced or enlightened or whatever you want to call it, and they only know 20 things in their life, but maybe they're doing 18 of them and they're doing 18 of them well. If you confess to know 2,000 things, how many of those 2,000 things in that big old fat brain of yours are you actually doing every day? Because I've caught myself with that idea a lot recently. And I want to start applying a lot more of the stuff that I know without fail. I think that's quite an important one.
It reminds me of that. It's like a classic sort of a paradox, if you want. I forget who said it, and I probably should remember because it's fucking awesome. But where it was like one of the most confusing things for artificial intelligence when it becomes very intelligent or close to a human level, because it's absolutely going to, obviously, and very, very soon become extremely intelligent. One of the weird things that a computer is going to find is that human beings have intelligence and we have information and memories that we can't access, that we know, but we forget. You know what I mean? And like, you can't access all this shit that's in your head 100% of the time. And that's going to become completely confusing for artificial intelligence. That it's like, I know all the shit that happened to me when I was a kid. And I will definitely remember that when I die, and you get all the flashback of your entire life and the DMT and all the rest of it. All that sort of shit will 100% happen. And I know, and I know I'll remember. But all I've got right now in my head is the story I've told myself about what happened, not necessarily a memory of what happened itself. Just I remember what I told people about it. But I know that memory's in there. Do you know what I mean? And I just can't access it. And I think that's going to be really confusing. I forget who said it's probably fucking Ray Kurzweil or something. Somebody was saying that's going to be really confusing for like really intelligent AI. That like in your mind at all points you've got knowledge that you can't access.
Right.
It's like banks and banks of shit you just can't look at or you can't remember. Do you know what I mean?
Imagine that being the case for a computer. Like, you know, you've got the photos from 10 years ago, and they're on there, but no, you can't open them. You
You
can't
can't
look at
see
them.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't think to look. Like what?
So there'll be a lot of stuff that's confusing to AI. Like, there's that concept. There's the idea of choice. Like, you know, so
Free will, yeah. Free will.
situation. You know, if you consider yourself to be somebody who is active and healthy, and you go to an area where there's a food place, and then there's a McDonald's, and then there's some sort of health food store, and that particular person is aware of the best choice for them in that situation, yet maybe that person goes to McDonald's. I think that idea will be very confusing for AI. Like, why would you make that choice when
Yeah.
not necessarily, because some people might not know. If you've not got the awareness or the information, then that will be confusing to an AI. But for the people that do have that distinction between what is good and bad in certain situations, but then they actively choose the bad, like the self-sabotage sort of stuff, I think that would be very confusing to computers.
Yeah, man, it's interesting because you can't figure that out yourself, and you think like I'm exactly the same. Like you can make bad decisions, you don't really know why, but it's like for what, you know, what good is this doing me, sort of thing. But if it was just, and then, you know, I suppose it's just a human being sort of thing. But we're so complicated, man. It's like, why would any? Because if that was how it was, like nobody would ever be fat, or like nobody would ever do drugs or drink every day and shit like that, because you know it's bad for you. It's like there's a certain it seems to be these two different, if you want, or types of knowledge. We're like, one of it's like book knowledge, like the things that we all generally agree, like the sky's blue and 2 + 2 = 4 and all the rest of it. But then there's a certain knowledge that just comes from like life experience, or just like having empirically experienced something before. And those two things are completely different. Like you can read a book about riding a kayak, but it doesn't necessarily translate into you being any fucking good on the water itself. And I think a lot of things are like that, man, where there's like, you can have it sort of set up in your head, or like, you know, you can have all the knowledge in it, but, you know, some sort of physical, empirical sort of thing.
Sorry, man. I don't know if you can hear me right now, but I think my computer's having some problems. I have to sort it out before we do the next one of these and make sure it's fresh. But yeah, it's overloading again. Like I said, I don't know if you can hear this.
Right, shall I start the broadcast then? All right, cool. I'll invite him in now.
Howdy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think my computer's pretty shit, and or at least it needs a clean. And so, yeah, it's taken up a lot of the memory by having this stream going whilst charging and stuff at the same time.
Yeah, there is, man. Right, we'll leave it there if you want. How much how long we've gone for? I can't see on the thing. How long?
I can check on YouTube.
No idea. Yeah, we'll check it on the YouTube channel. All right, man. Well, yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty bit of a ramble, I suppose. Like canal boating for about 20 minutes.
I like this technology, man. This is cool. We should do more of these.
Yeah, it's really easy, isn't it? And like I said, there's no lag or anything, but it's like it can be anywhere now, and just as long as you've got a fairly decent internet connection and a charged up laptop.
We said there's no lag. We haven't looked at the video yet, so that'll be interesting to watch back.
Right, all right. Check it out in a minute.
Yeah, cool, man. Cheers, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, all right. Cheers, man. To the bit.
Bye.